Hey everyone, I begged Staf to do this video. He's not quite up to it yet, but I really just wanted to prove to all of you, here's proof of life. Staf is here with us and he is okay. And I know there's been a lot of you, well, I've had so many beautiful messages, both on my Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp.
And
it's just been actually overwhelming to see how many people actually quite like you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway, you've been amazing and supportive, and you've reached out to find out how Staf doing, what's going on, head surgery, that sounds hectic, did he fall? So I think maybe you should unpack it, because here he is, and I think his story is worth telling.
Okay.
I think it's quite inspiring, and it's a bit of an eye-opener for those out there watching. So I think you can maybe tell it in your own words.
Yeah, just first of all, from my side, just thank you to everyone. I'm not really up to it still. She woke me up and said, you've got to do this video, so I'm doing this video. And I think it's important that we do this video, because people do want to find out like what happened and all that. And I think what I'm up to at the moment is something that we haven't shared before, and I think we should share it with more folks. I'm 49 now, and I think it's less than 2 years. But I remember the first time Carly sat down with me and did my DNA. We did my DNA, and she had my DNA results, and we went through it. And when she went through those top 10 things about, these are the things that you shouldn't be doing, etc. I did make some of those changes, and we instituted some exercise more often, etc. And
well, what you did do is you added supplements, because that's quite easy to do, because it's an additive. It's not like a subtracting habit. It's like an additional habit. So adding extra vitamins in that you need is quite an easy thing to adopt. But taking some of your favorite foods out, and that's not such an easy thing to do. So that was kind of put onto the back burner for a while.
Yeah, so Smarties went out the door. The Smarties, in fact, it didn't. I kept on going with that.
You did, yeah.
Because after that, there was the heart thing that happened. But what Carly did was quite actually, she did, you say that, but her net result was actually less. Because I was spending a lot of money, thousands of rands per month on vitamins and supplements. And when she looked at everything in my cupboard, she said, no, according to your DNA, don't take all that stuff. That's crazy.
And she
take that out. Yeah, and she made it more targeted and more effective. And we made those changes.
The brand that you used, better brands and things, yeah.
And then we went on, and I made some changes, but some changes I didn't do. And then I had a heart issue. And that came from, I had COVID pneumonia and all that, and then I went to the cardiologist. I booked myself in, and I went to go check my heart because I was worried. I wear one of these fitness things. I wear the Garmin Phoenix watch, and every now and again it would go off, and it would tell me abnormal heart rate.
Whilst he was doing nothing, though. Whilst we were at the dinner table, not while he was training or having a stressful moment or about to do a keynote. It was whilst he was sitting at the dinner table. And none of the girls had dropped a bomb at that exact moment or anything serious. It was just sitting there going, oh my gosh, look what's happening.
Well, we just have a conversation and it would start going off. So anyway, I went to the cardiologist, he checked my heart, and everything was 100%. But then for the first time, I did a proper like deep dive cholesterol test on me. And he came back and he prescribed statins. Now, what I'm about to say here, I want to be very, very clear. This is not something that you should follow. Follow what your doctor says, okay? Don't follow what I just did. But I pinged Carly, and Carly listened to everything, and she knew me very well, and she knew what I was up to. And she said, Staf, no, I don't want you on the statins just yet. What I want you to do is go on to this particular derivative, which is more a plant-based thing that you can take every day, and I've had great results, and I took it.
And no more pizza, no more cheese, no
she
more
made
fried
dietary
foods,
changes too.
And no more Smarties in bed.
Yeah, and
so
that
there's
all
actually
changed.
Quite a lot of dietary changes.
Yeah, but that scared me because I went to the cardiologist and I'm sitting down with him and he told me everything. And then, look, when I was on that thing on the treadmill and he thought, look, you fit and everything, but my bloods worried him. And he immediately prescribed statins. And that's like a big jump from nothing to like statins. So anyway, I went on this thing with Carly, and this was last year, January.
Last year,
in fact, it was December 2022. And then Carly said, look, Staf, you got to do this. Now, whenever I'm like a all or nothing person, whenever you tell me change something, I'll change everything. So Carly gave me a very detailed breakdown from a dietary and a lifestyle perspective what I needed to change. So Smarties and, just before bed went away, cheeses and things that were not good for me from a DNA perspective, but also combining with this cholesterol issue I suddenly had, changed. And I made those changes. I made them viciously and I applied them. And what was really cool was towards the end of last year, what triggered me to go do the rest of the story? Because I remember I went to go do my bloods And what was very surprising when I did my bloods was how good my cholesterol levels were.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I was waiting to see, because this was a year later. And the doctors were like, wow, your cholesterol levels are like really healthy.
So there was a few things. So it was the thing on your heart, it happened a few times.
Yeah.
Then Staf got on a plane, and I remember him telling me while he was on the plane that he's got this really crazy sharp shooting pain in his head, and he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know if he should get off the plane or like, and I'm like, what? And he's about to take off and go to Cape Town for a talk. And he's telling me this as he's on the plane. So it was very scary. And he had this severe headache that felt like his head was going to explode. And he got to the other side. It was no better. Took pain meds, no better. Had to keynote like that. Flew back and still had that pain. It had subsided a bit. But that was like the second thing that happened. Then the third thing, we were away for the weekend. And we were having breakfast. And then he just said, I feel like I'm going to faint. Like, I feel I'm going to faint. And I have got no power. And he just dropped his cutlery. And that was like another thing that happened. And there was like one more thing. And it was just too many things going on. And I said, I think we need to go and do a deep dive into your everything else.
And
like something is not right.
Right.
Here,
But you know what actually so we looked at all that, but what triggered me was, and I'm going to do a shout out to him, is Dr. Richard Friedland. He is the CEO of a company called Netcare, and I was with him, and I went into a meeting with him, and in the meeting, in the boardroom, sorry, this sounds very long-winded, but on the boardroom, there was this GCA test for men. And they were encouraging men to go do colonoscopy, gastroscopy. That's it.
Gastroscopy.
Gastroscopy, and something else. And I asked him about it.
Take out some of the brains?
No, wait. I asked him about some of that, and then he said, wow, you haven't had it yet. And then he asked me how old I was, and I told him I'm 49. And he said, no. And he just like really kind of gave me the advice that I needed, and he said to me, go do it, because if you catch this stuff early, you can make changes. So then I went ahead and I said, okay, I'm going to go do it, and I'm going to do it all. So I went.
Your prostate test?
I had my prostate test.
That was interesting, that dinner conversation that night.
Yeah,
and for days that
exam.
followed, Staf could not actually let it go. He was just in
so
absolute
just
shock.
for all the men out there that have to do prostate exams, wow. I mean, I was sitting afterwards. I mean, I sat in the parking lot afterwards, and I actually thought, this is 2023. Why are we still having people putting fingers up people's bums to see? I just like, where's the robot? Where's the AI? That's what it was a very upsetting experience for me. I did not enjoy it. So for those of you that are kind of, I'm told 40 already. Guys, go do your prostate exams. Go do it. Because when I sat down with
you have a history of it as well in your family.
In my family,
so even more so.
Exactly. So I went and did it, and I wanted to do all the tests that Dr. Friedland told me to go do. So I went and did them, and the prostate one was fascinating, although very traumatic, because it's just how, if you can catch it early and how you can prevent it, etc. So anyway, my prostate was cool and it was all fine. But then I also checked my PSA levels, and that was okay. And then even he said my cholesterol levels were like amazing, which was again testament to the changes that Carly had made a year before, right? So that was good. Then I decided to go do the other one that checks the inside of the colonoscopy.
Yes.
I mean, that was quite major too, because that's, you're knocked out. And they're checking everything. And the feedback from that was also amazing, because the feedback came back saying, what did he say? You were in the room. He said, whatever you are doing, keep doing
that.
It's amazing.
He said you've got the perfect colon. Staf was very proud of the fact that his colon was squeaky clean. And he was
it's not
so
just the first colon. He also said my gut. The whole thing. So I went and did both. And I want to encourage guys out there too.
There was a test that came back after the fact, like a week later. So he was very happy. But yes, you had a gut bacteria that was very, very common, and you've had to treat it in a certain way. And 70% of people out there have it. And there's a really good chance I have it. So I'll probably also have to take the stuff that Staf's taken it. Has taken. Yes, that. It's like an antibiotic and another thing. And apparently you can catch it anywhere. And it really can increase your risk of colon cancer down the line. So it's a preventative thing if you can catch it and treat it quickly.
Okay.
So that was interesting as well.
Yeah. So when we did that, simultaneously, I've had this thing in my head that's been growing, and it's been it looks like a tumor. And I asked my cousin about it, and she's a doctor, and she said, listen, it looks like a lipoma. And then I was going back and forth. I went and I left it alone. But essentially, it was a growth at the base of my skull, right at the back of my
head. It has been
head.
growing for about 5 years, because in previous photos, like 5 years ago, you can't
Our wedding
see
photos,
it.
you don't see it.
And it's just been growing progressively, and the girls have been saying, please just go get it checked, and Staf's like, nah, the whole time, until last year when he started really looking at everything and saying, you know what, I've come this far, let me go and check this thing out. And so you went for all the scans and stuff.
Well, the doc looked at it and he went, ooh. And he didn't like it. And he said, okay, so when did you notice it? How long? And he said, well, it's growing quite aggressively. And I was like, oh, wow. And then what he said right away was, I don't like the position of where it is on your head. Because it wasn't like, near it was right at the stem, kind of where your spine goes up into your head. It's situated right there. And that's a very complicated area.
We thought he had too many brains, and they didn't
brains.
know where to go, so they started growing like another skull.
So anyway, I went and we did all the scans, etc., and the diagnosis was like, let's get this thing out. And and that's what we did last week, Monday. And I got it out. And
Amber and I were like on calls. We were waiting outside the hospital, and the surgeon came to speak to us, and he was like, it went well. It was a bit trickier than we had thought, and both of us were like, what? Yeah, I got a bit of a cold shiver there, because it was quite a scary thing when the surgeon says it was a little bit trickier than we'd expected, but we got it all out, and it was shaped like a dumbbell, which I thought was quite ironic.
Too much bouncy exercise.
Yeah, it's like a dumbbell-shaped tumor. I mean, only married to me, it would be a dumbbell shape.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it came out, but I think it was a lot deeper than the surgeon had anticipated. And so they
had
really
to kind of cut deeper, and it's a very tricky area. So anyway, they got it out and they sent it to the lab. So I was very worried, because first of all, not from the surgery, from the time I went to go see the first doctor, because some were saying, nah, don't worry, and then I was also getting there, well, wait a minute, it's got this feel to it, and I just had to sort it out, and I was very worried. And I think that when you get the first medical insight that says, ooh, and all the doctors are neutral, they're not giving you like, so it's nothing, right? And the doctor goes, no, we got to do, and then that starts setting in worry. And look,
it's a very long week waiting for those test results.
And I got them the other day, so they're benign.
And they are benign. And we got that news just on Monday, like 3-4 days ago, whatever.
Well, 2 days ago,
We got the test results back to say that it's benign, and it was really just like a lump. It was a growth,
So look, so that's cleared out. But I think the long and the short of it is, we've been reading we've been reading a lot that what you do in your late 40s to early 50s pretty much determines what the last 15 years of your life qualitatively will be from a health perspective. Will those last 15 years of your life be a time when you can spend quality time with your children, your grandchildren? Can you live a life where you're not fighting disease all the time? So I've been on a journey for a year now to do everything preventative. So everything that I've done, the stuff with Carly, the DNA, that's preventative. The heart stuff, preventative. The head stuff, preventative. The colonoscopy, all that stuff is preventative.
In a nutshell, it's really trying to improve your health span versus your lifespan. So all good and well, living to 90 years old. If from 70 years old, you're on chronic meds, you're bedbound, you're using, walking aid, you can't play with your grandkids, you can't travel overseas, you're spending a fortune, all your savings on medical bills and hospitalization fees and all of these things. That is terrible. So your lifespan was long, but your health span was short. So what you want is to have both end at the same time, so that your last 15 to 20 years here on earth is one that's full of longevity, and you have a fulfilled life, one where you're traveling, you're disease free, you've got energy, and that starts from now. Like if you're in your 30s, great. If you're in your 20s, fantastic. But if you're in your 40s and 50s, what you do right now really matters. So don't ignore things, little growths that pop up, headaches that are too persistent, restless sleep, twitching legs, weird things that are happening. Don't think, I'm a bit stressed, I'm a bit tired. Don't do that, because it's your body telling you that there's something deeper at play, and it's worth investigating and doing it the sooner the better, because there's a really good chance that you could live another 30, 40, 50 years, and as science and technology is improving, who knows, you could be living into your hundreds. So what you do now matters. And going into the year ahead, I know this is the time of year where everyone's kind of setting their goals for the year and saying, what's going to be different for this year for my life? And we've named it 2020 more, like more everything, more health, more vitality, more awareness, more fulfillment, more love, compassion, more patience with each other, more acts of kindness, more of the good stuff. And I think for all of those listening to Staf's testimony, somebody who's been with me for like 12 years and already made changes 12 years ago, thank goodness, right? Because I think this whole thing could have been a whole lot worse had you not made changes 10 years ago, and then with Carly again 2 years ago, and like that, this could have been disastrous. So make the changes, get your DNA done, get the science, get the data, have those blood tests, go see all the doctors, catch it early and make those lifestyle changes now.
And talk to your husbands. Talk to your husbands, because if you, as a woman, you're on your health journey and you've got all, but we always seem to speak to women more in our communication. But let your husband watch this. Guys, go do the preventative stuff. Do your bloods, go deep and really understand if there's anything wrong. Take a look at your body, listen to your body. Any growth, anything that doesn't feel right, diagnose it. Big thing is do your DNA. Big one. And then I guess the thing that I have committed to, because I'm missing it so much right now, is movement. When you're sick, I'm not sick, but when you go and have an op and you can't move, I haven't been able to move for, so it's 10 days or something now. It's frustrating, it's debilitating, it's worrying, etc. And I can feel it's not good for my body. And you know what was amazing? That the doctor told me to stimulate my lymphatic system. And to hear a doctor say that is pretty cool, because we talk about the lymph and rebounding, etc. When I told him about rebounding, he said, amazing.
Not yet.
Not yet.
You've got stitches all over the back of your head, but soon, get on there, because after having operations, local anesthetic, general anesthetic,
get it out your system,
and all the antibiotics and all the meds and the drugs and tons of pain medication, tons. You are toxic. Your lymphatic system is really struggling right now. You need to clean it up.
So I guess in summary, it's just don't wait. Do what you need to do.
Listen to your body,
and you know what? Spend the money. Invest it. Because if you don't invest it now, you're going to be required to do it, and it's going to be a whole lot more expensive later. And that's just the journey that I've been on. But thanks again for everyone that reached out. The thank you messages. It makes me emotional thinking about everyone that's poured in. It's been a traumatic time for the family, because these are touch and go things, especially when your head gets cut open. But yeah, we okay. I'm okay. I'll be back on my feet probably from next week onwards again. And invest in your health. Health is wealth.
Okay. Thanks everybody.